Welcome everybody to today's Operational Services Committee meeting. It is Tuesday, February 24th. I'm your chair, Councillor Thiessen, joined today with committee members Councillors Flack, Auger, and Mayor Jackie Clayton. So we'll begin with the land acknowledgement. And in that, the city respectfully acknowledges the Beaver, Cree, Dene, and Métis peoples as the original caretakers of this lands and surrounding areas. We are grateful to live, learn, work, and play on Treaty 8 territory within Turtle Island and acknowledge these lands have been home to diverse and sovereign First Nations and Inuit nations since time immemorial. Thank you for allowing me to read that. And I'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. And I'll turn to Councillor Flack.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Thiessen. I move committee adopt the agenda as presented.
The motion is in order. Looking around for any additions or catches. Seeing none, I'll call to question. And that carries, so the business can begin. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll turn it right over to reports as we have no delegations. And for that, I'll turn it over to Senior Chief, Mr. Brian Glavin, for a service area update.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. We'll start off in engineering and transportation. Right now, we are steadily moving snow off Priority 1 roads. We had to reset back to Priority 1 over the weekend with the amount of snow. So far in the last week, we've had roughly 36 centimeters, so it's kept us reasonably busy on that. We're about half done our Priority 2 roads, and the residential service began Thursday for week A. And with the new round of snow over the weekend, downtown will be back in there tonight to remove the snow from there. With the snow, just a quick budget update. We had a lot of snow that we got in December, late December, that didn't get removed until January. So right now we're working on our third round of residential snow and projecting at least another round this fall. So right now we're looking at likely being over the budgeted amount for the year, largely due to contracted hauling for snow. So whenever we remove parking lot snow or windrows on any of the roads, just due to the volume, we've had substantially more trucking this year. So right now we're projecting likely being over budget somewhere in the realm of 20 to 25% by the end of the year, or a little over $1 million. Not unexpected. Some of these years we get more snow than others. Last year we were under budget. Previous years we were under budget, and we're seeing the average come up with a big year this year. Continuing on in engineering and transportation, we have recently posted a tender for Crystal Lake Trees and Trail Project, which is a FRIA project that we're working with them on. As well, we've recently put a request for proposal out for Bear Creek control structure maintenance repairs. So this is at the reservoir. We've also recently closed a request for quotation for storm flow monitoring for the city's storm lines. And we'll move on to corporate facility management. Right now, we are well underway with our Montrose Cultural Center remediation, as well as the air-supported recreation facility in Trader, the public safety center or contact center downtown, as well as the city service center washroom renovations. Currently, all projects are active and nothing unusual with them that should impact timelines at this time. In environment and parks, maintenance staff continue snow removal and ice control along pathways and bus stops. And we've also recently begun elm pruning in the Country Club West area. With that, I'll take any questions.
Awesome. Thanks for that update, Chief Glavin. I'll turn it over to committee members and potentially other members of council for any questions in your service area. I'm not seeing any hands going up. Looks like you're completely off the hook. Unlike our snow haulers who are totally on the hook, hauling that snow away. Thank you very much, Chief Glavin, for your service area update. We'll move right along to item 5.2, and for this we have our first report is free transit for city's homeless population. And I'll turn this over to Chief Glavin for introduction.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. The committee recently directed administration to report on the potential to offer free transit to the city's homeless population. Mr. Harvard has done some investigation in concert with our CSD department and is here to present some of the details.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Harvard.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen and members of the committee. This report responds to committee's direction to review the potential for offering free transit to individuals experiencing homelessness, including operator input. Administration examined operational, safety, service, and policy implications. There we go. Key considerations include challenges around eligibility and enforcement, potential impacts to service reliability and rider experience, and ensuring transit remains a safe and welcoming environment for all. We consulted extensively with our transit operators. Feedback emphasized maintaining transit as a transportation service, concerns about role clarity, and the importance of protecting the safety of both operators and passengers. Operators noted that unresolved behavior issues can affect rider confidence, service reliability, and their ability to operate safely. Administration is recommending that committee receive this report for information, and with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much for your report, Mr. Harvard, and I'll turn it over to committee for questions. Don't see any questions. Oh, Councillor Auger.
Thank you. My question to you, you talked a little bit about safety and security for the driver and the passengers, and I think that's great to keep that in mind all the time. Was there any talk about on how you could mitigate any of those type of issues that may happen on the buses by anybody, not just the homeless?
Mr. Harvard?
Through the chair, well, I'll answer this in two parts. I mean, certainly currently when there are any issues on the bus, we contact either bylaw or the RCMP, depending on the severity of the issues. Now, during COVID, we did have a point in time when fares were free for everybody. And I know that our operators were dealing on a daily basis with a lot of issues that they ordinarily would not have dealt with. And it was impacting a lot of the services that they were trying to deliver. I think a number of the drivers were telling me that it was basically RCMP on a daily basis showing up and having to deal with the passengers, slowing the service down, and then, of course, in some cases, with the behavior of certain individuals, it does tend to impact other riders who feel that their safety may be in jeopardy. So, but to answer your question, yeah, I mean, definitely we would be calling on the enforcement at either level.
Thank you. And my other question is in regards to mobile outreach. So if I was homeless and I needed to go to Service Canada, wouldn't mobile outreach take me there?
I'm going to defer that question to the CSD person, staff member who's here with me as well.
Welcome.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, mobile outreach is available to support individuals with going to destinations like that as needed. That is one of the large parts of what they do. They respond to calls, but then in between they're able to transport individuals.
Yeah, and the reason I asked that is I've heard otherwise on a few occasions at the center where they weren't getting the need for a trip to a certain place. So I've heard that from some individuals at the center. That's why I asked it.
Okay, thank you for your questions, Councillor Auger. I'll turn it over to committee. I have Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. First of all, can you introduce yourself for those who might be watching at home?
Yes, thank you. I'm Melissa Tucker, the Social Policy Manager for Housing and Community Development.
Thanks. Would it be fair to say, to address Councillor Auger's comments of what he had heard from some individuals, tell me about the prioritizing of calls as they come in to mobile outreach. My understanding is prioritizer emergency type issues are first, and transportation type calls would be dealt in a rotation following dealing with issues of emergent nature.
Ms. Tucker.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, that's my understanding too. I could definitely get more clarification from mobile outreach about what that typically looks like, but my understanding is yes, they do prioritize the calls that they receive that are kind of more of an urgent nature, but then in between that they're available for transportation.
Perfect. If you don't mind just sending council an email with that information, that'd be appreciated. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for your question, Mayor Clayton. I'll look for any other questions. Well, thanks for stepping in there, Ms. Tucker. I do have one question. I really appreciated the consultation with our frontline drivers, our operators of the buses. They're the ones that have to deal with any issues that may come to the transit, and it could severely impact their work day or even their work life going forward. So I guess my question is as much as I appreciate it, I noticed that in the report it said that over 50% of our operators had responded. Was there any way that we could have got that number up? Maybe, I don't know, I was thinking at least to 100%, because this would impact them if council chose to make this. But I think the responses that were given were very thoughtful and considered.
Well, Chair Thiessen, I think with any type of a situation where you're asking for people's input, anything in 50% above is actually an excellent return. I know certain individuals spoke to me, but they were not willing to put anything down in writing. They were a little bit hesitant about that, even though, I assured that there would be, definitely there'd be no indication of who said what, etc. However, again, it's one of those things where you ask people, you remind them, and some people really provided quite a lengthy discourse. But at the end of the day, we're happy with 50%. We honestly feel that that's a very good return, when we're looking for input.
Okay. No, thank you. Thank you for that response. Outside of that, I don't see any other questions. I'll just leave room for one comment. My personal opinion on this was, especially during COVID, council had heard word, at least I had, and other members of council, of people using transit as mobile shelters. And it's not just how they maybe behave. Sometimes if they're sleeping, all of a sudden people feel concerned. They don't want to sit near that person. Sometimes it smells. You can't avoid how your body lets out certain toxins and stuff like that. And again, that just creates a perception that it wouldn't be safe on that transit. So I think this is a thoughtful recommendation, and I thank all of our staff for taking part in it. And I'll look for a motion arising. Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. I'm happy to make a motion to receive this report for information.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. That motion is in order. We'll call it to question. And that motion carries. Thank you very much for that. And we will see you again shortly, I'm sure, as I look at the outstanding items list. Moving right along to item 4.3, we have private tree protection strategy. And again, I'll turn this over to Chief Glavin for introduction.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. Council directed administration to bring back a report with a strategy to protect trees on private land. We have reviewed the urban forest strategy as well as what other communities are doing in that regard, and Mr. DeVries is here to present his findings.
Welcome, Mr. DeVries.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen, and thanks for the introduction, Chief Glavin. As mentioned, in 2025, the City of Grande Prairie adopted the Urban Forest Strategy. This strategy itself is structured in a cascading framework, and so what that means is early actions within that strategy lay the administrative and operational foundations that are needed to support more complex or sensitive longer-term actions. Within the strategy, protecting trees on private lands is listed as a long-term action, and it's identified under Objective 3. It is intentionally sequenced as long-term because it does require some earlier groundwork. When looking at municipalities across Canada, cities such as Toronto and Victoria have introduced private tree regulation, but only after building strong public side policies and enforcement tools. Other cities such as Calgary have opted not to pursue bylaw due to capacity and legal challenges. And there's further information and details on several municipalities within Attachment 1. Within the city of Grande Prairie, protecting trees on private land would require resources and systems that are not yet in place. As such, there is a pathway for getting to private tree protection in the analysis. You'll see 3 phases there, generally following Objective 3 from that urban forest strategy. So the first step would be to consolidate our existing tree-related content from bylaws, policies, and our internal procedures into a unified tree policy for public trees. And then within that first phase as well, administration would look to advance some public-facing efforts, including some development of educational materials and some early incentive programs. Then in phase 2, once that internal tree policy is in place, it would be used to assess any enforcement needs, any operational impacts, and any service gaps. And of course, that evaluation would allow for some refinement before considering a more complex private tool. Then finally, in phase 3, would be consideration for a bylaw to regulate removal of trees on private property. But of course, this step would require some significant engagement and careful design to ensure enforcement, equity, and public perception, among other considerations. It's important to note that, of course, advancing this private regulation without first consolidating our internal policies, trialing some operational readiness, and building community awareness may compromise implementation success and could potentially erode support for future urban forest initiatives. During development of the urban forest strategy, residents expressed a strong interest in public tree care, education, and proactive maintenance. There was no significant public demand or focus on regulating trees on private lands. And so at this stage, administration recommends continuing our focus on the public side policy and our public operations, continuing to build our internal capacity, and then exploring community-based incentive programs as a logical next step. And with that, the recommendation for today is that the Operational Services Committee receive this report for information.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your report, Mr. DeVries. I'll turn it over to committee and members of council for any questions arising through the report. I see a few subtle shakes of heads. All right, Mayor Clayton.
No, you go first.
No.
Looking for something.
All right. Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. Thanks, Mr. DeVries. I really appreciated this report. One of the things that I was looking for in the report, I didn't see too much, although there was an allusion to it, was that about incentive-based programs as far as maintaining the tree canopy for our urban forest strategy. We know all the benefits of trees as far as protecting our stormwater and flood mitigation and stuff like that. And I thought perhaps we get better buy-in with the honey approach versus the stick approach. Not to make a pun about trees, but there's a lot about enforcement in here. So I guess the question that I was left after the report with was, what type of incentive-based programs has the city considered or might consider as far as maintaining our tree canopy in residential areas?
Great. Thanks, Chair Thiessen, for the question. Yeah, certainly appreciate the honey stick comment. And I think that's some of the flavor in here, as noted within that first phase, would be to develop some of these incentive programs. For this coming year, one of the things that we're looking at, one of the simplest forms of incentive program is a tree giveaway program. And so we kind of wanted to take it a step further, potentially tie it into some of our other goals and things that we'd like to accomplish with edible landscaping. And so right now it's not developed, but working on developing potentially a mini orchard giveaway. So rather than just one tree, whether it's, say, at the Dig It program in through GP Grows, we could potentially offer a giveaway of a couple of apple trees, a plum tree, and some haskaps, for example, as a package. And so we want to try and explore different avenues. We do have the GP Grows program, which is an excellent program that we can feed some of these incentives through, and that's sort of our goal for this coming season.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer. I do have one other question based on that, but
Go ahead.
All right. So has administration explored even a little bit the potential for perhaps a property tax incentive? We talked before about stormwater models and the benefits of that, and the benefits also of bioremediation, with trees helping to offset a lot of the water flows entering our storm system. Now, we in the beginning talked about giving incentives for people who develop properly or better than most and planted more trees and offset a lot more water. And then that sort of got lost in the conversation as we started developing the model for stormwater. How complicated do you think it might be if we had sort of a resident-led, if we put it out there, hey, do you want a discount on your property taxes? Tell us how many large trees you have on your property and keep them. And we could subtract $5 or $10 on every large tree, which obviously in residential, you're not going to have a ton of large trees in there, but have we explored those types of incentive-based programs at all?
Chair Thiessen, no, not at this time. We haven't explored any tax-based incentives for tree. One of the things that's within those first short-term actions within the urban forest strategy is updating our public tree inventory. It's something that we know is a gap right now for us. And again, in line with that report here is just focusing to ensure that we have robust tools on the public tree side before looking at private tree items like that.
Okay. I guess just top up, do you think it would be complicated if we created something on the web where people could self-identify how many trees, large trees they have on their property?
Chair Thiessen, I'm not sure if I can answer that without exploring it a little bit at this time, yeah.
No, that's a fair answer. Thank you very much for that. I'll turn it over to Mayor Clayton for question.
Thanks. I have a few, and so maybe you've explored these opportunities or maybe you haven't, but I'm curious, was in your report writing, was there any consideration for a program that encourages residents to actually do more treescaping? Last council had a big priority, and I know it's important to this council as well, in regarding to increasing our tree inventory in our community. If there are residents who are willing to do that for us, I think it obviously is a benefit to the city for many reasons. And so did you come across any programs that could incentivize residents to help us, in essence, increase our tree inventory across the community?
Mr. DeVries.
Through Chair Thiessen, yeah, one of the other programs that we'd like to explore a little bit further is like a contest or backyard canopy contest. So essentially having some type of a prize package that we can put together for a contest for people who are putting the effort in planting new trees and things like that. So again, not developed yet, but something that we would like to explore.
And so I think with that, when I was looking to plant some new trees this year, I went on the city's website and it showed which trees are ideal to plant in the city. I don't know if everybody knows that information is there. So I'm wondering along some of the other initiatives we do, if we really push that, there's quite often you can go to retailers and find trees that aren't ideal for our community, but they seem like a good price. So you think you're doing yourself a favor and you're doing the community a favor, and you, in essence, are not. So I think some promotion of really around that treescaping is important. The other thing I wondered through your exploration, if you, I know in British Columbia and in larger centers, when you are adding a secondary suite, or let's call it a garden suite or a garage suite, and you have to remove a tree, there are other communities where you pay to remove that tree. So explain to me that process and what you learned that council may want to consider.
Mr. DeVries?
Yeah, through Chair Thiessen, right now for public trees, that mechanism is currently in place. So within the fees and charges bylaw, if there's a public tree, somebody wants to say widen a driveway and there's a public tree there, there's a compensation mechanism that we do follow. We would have to, again, explore a little bit further for how that could work on the private tree side. Again, that would be sort of in line with regulating removal of private trees. Is, some of these municipalities that we looked at have a model of that type, where if you have to remove a tree, say for building out a suite, then the expectation is perhaps you plant 3 or 4 in replacement. So those tools do exist, and we'd have to see how we could apply them here.
Perfect. Thanks. And yeah, that was exactly what I was talking about. If you are removing trees of, older sort of growth that provide a lot of benefits to your community through infill, there are times that, larger trees are removed. And so I think council could explore those conversations. But I really like the piece and St. Albert. I don't know anything about the St. Albert program, but based on your report, I'm seeing that their Root for Trees program is an emphasis on planting and landscaping enhancement rather than enforcement. I think there's a lot of great information that's valuable to our community in regards to helping us as a community improve our urban forestry inventory. And so I'd love to see some marketing on that, but also maybe council wants to explore other opportunities with that. If there's any grants out there or programs out there that are not just about treescaping on private land that could incorporate public land, I think that's a great opportunity as well. If we had a program that allowed people to buy trees at a discounted rate through a grant program, something like that I think would be of great interest to council. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for your questions and suggestions, Mayor Clayton. I'll turn it over to Councillor Auger.
Thank you. Am I on? Sorry, my question kind of builds on Constable, Councillor Thiessen and Mayor Clayton. In relation to incentives, is there a simple listing of current incentives that are offered? And it sounds like there's so many more other incentive programs all over the place that maybe we can take a look at and add on to a list where I think the community needs to know what kind of incentives are available out there if we want to continue building on this program. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. Mr. DeVries?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Chair Thiessen, and thanks for the question. Certainly is a top priority for us within these short-term actions from the Urban Forest Strategy, just to build on the comments that we've received. So this coming spring and summer, that is the focus. Focus on the education component, which is something that we've heard from residents when we built the strategy. There's already some content on the webpage, but we need to revive it. That's the goal for this year, is to update it and make sure that it's reflective of current conditions. And then start with simple incentive programs like tree giveaways, but then build on that to more, I guess, robust or a bit more detailed programs as well. So it certainly is in our work plan for this year to build out the education and the incentives.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll turn it over to committee. Seeing no further questions, members of council, no further questions. Well, thank you very much, Mr. DeVries, for the report. I like the thoroughness that you took upon yourselves to look across the country, in fact, at what other municipalities were doing in regards to tree incentives and enforcement. And if I'm making just a personal opinion, I think we'll probably go a lot farther with incentives over enforcement when it comes to people's private properties. And that's what I'll leave it at that. I got Mayor Clayton in the queue.
Thanks. I'm happy to do some business. Just a quick comment. As you're sort of building out these programs, if there's ideas that you think are of maybe of interest to council, through Chief Glavin's updates or something, it'd be great information for council going forward. But I'm happy to make a motion to receive the Operational Services Committee report for information.
Awesome. Thanks for that bit of business. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call to question. Councillor Thiessen in favor? And that motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much, Mr. DeVries. And we look forward to hearing more in the near future. I know this council loves trees. The last council loved trees. Who doesn't love trees? All right, moving right along. We have no correspondence, other business, so we'll jump right to our outstanding items list. And for that, I'll turn it over to Chief Glavin.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. With today's reports, we can remove items 1378 and 1396. And currently, everything else is on track.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Councillor Flack.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Thiessen. I move committee receive the February 24th outstanding items list as amended for information.
That motion is in order. Any discussion or debate as to why we shouldn't? Seeing none, call to question. Councillor Thiessen in favor. And that motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today for our Operational Services Committee. We'll be coming up next with, I believe, Financial and Administrative Services. Thank you very much.